And welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Gotcha. We were talking about this very unique situation. I'm going to let you tell the story. Tell us about what's this new fraud that was going on.
Okay. So that's a funny one. So normally when a company detaches a dividend, it detaches income and it attaches also a part of a tax credit, which is given by the tax authority of the local country. Okay.
Right.
So normally, if you are in the right jurisdiction of the investor, you are entitled to that tax credit, but you might not be. So in this case, what you do is you trade that stock against the derivatives to put the stock into the right tax jurisdiction. And Bob is your uncle, you collect that tax credit. It's called tax trading. It's illegal, but it happens, of course.
Right.
Now, there's a twist on that one. What happened is one day, two traders made a trade, and both of them were entitled to that little tax credit. Okay, and they realized by accident that if you trade at the right date between the Cum and the Ex date, well, you both the buyer and the seller are entitled to that little tax trade, that tax credit on part of the dividend. Right. Guess what happened after that? People started to trade with each other, in buckets, okay, and they collected the tax credit. It was fun. And eventually they started to trade in other jurisdictions. They tried to collect through tax treaties between countries, and they needed more cash. So basically they went out and they raised money to investors, explaining this is the kind of business we can do. There is no market risk, etc., etc. So the business grew for a few years. And one day, journalists heard about that tax opportunity. And so they pretended to be investors. And they talked to some of those portfolio managers and they recorded the conversation on camera. And then they went and they did the investigation. So it's a group of investigators, journalists. And eventually they published their result onto a website. It's called the Cum-Ex files. Okay. And they discovered that over the years, the business had grown so much in so many jurisdictions that do you know how much the tax authorities have been taken away?
How much money are we talking about?
Say stolen?
How much money are we talking about here?
We are talking about billions, and right now the tally is at 55 billion euros.
Oh my
God! $60 billion. It's the biggest, I think, white-collar crime, potentially, if it's a crime, ever. It's a nice one, huh?
And how many countries do you think was involved in terms of this tax credit? Was it multiple countries that you were talking about? Like, how many countries are involved?
So when you trade derivatives in Europe, you are very exposed to the tax treatment of dividends. So every country is treated, it's taxed differently. Every stock in every country is taxed differently in a different country. There are agreements between countries. So, 20 countries in Europe, you can imagine the number of differences there is. There is some uniformity, but, eventually, there's a few countries, they have a tax differential, which is important, like Germany, Spain, Netherlands, etc. Then after that, you have other countries who have tax treaties. So, for example, in the US, you have tax treaties with Denmark. Okay, and so traders were taking positions in, let's say, in the US fund, take advantage of a tax treaty with Denmark to take advantage of tax credit in Denmark. Denmark has been stolen, estimated 1.5 billion on that. Considering the size of the country, it's pretty big. So there is plenty of countries, and we are still discovering. The German authorities are going after and leading these investigations. It's only the beginning. It's a more enormous web.
Wow. So, and how long do you think this could have gone on even longer if it wasn't for the journalists who kind of got on top of the story?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's kind of a crazy situation. Now, Gontran, that's not what you do with your day job, though. I mean, obviously, this is an interesting story, but when should people be contacting you and the phone number that we have when they need your services?
Thank you. I am essentially the option coroner. So if you trade options and something goes wrong, eventually somebody is losing money. It could be you, or it could be your portfolio manager or somebody who manages money for you, and you're not very happy. And so you go to your attorney, and your attorney knows the law, but he doesn't know option trading. So sometimes the attorney comes to me and say, can you explain to me what happened? And that's my job. So I'm literally doing the autopsy about, the losses. That's the typical case.
Right. And what type of training did you go through to get the expertise? I know, obviously, a lot of people, you're everyone's go-to person in this area regarding options. How did you get your training to get all the experience that you rely on now?
That's an interesting question. So that role of expert witness is it's a bit specific. Every industrial business has those kind of experts. If you are in the medical profession, they are they are expert witnesses, and it happened they are all from the industry. All the expert witnesses are doctors, surgeons, etc. In the financial industry, it's a bit different. Most of the experts are actually attorneys, compliance, lifelong consultant, or academics. Why? Because a lot of cases evolved around regulations. For a topic like trading, options, or some of these very, very technical issues, you need to have participate in that industry so that you can understand the nuances. So I traded for 25 years. I was an option trader. I started in London. I traded every kind of equity derivative you can think of, from call, puts, warrants, index ups, startups, swap, ETF. Moved to the US. Same kind of product. Also packaged quantitative investment research into structured product, what we call nowadays QIS, quantitative investment strategies, etc. So I've done that for 25 years. I've selected portfolio managers. I've raised capital for portfolio managers. I was a chief operating officer for a hedge fund. So I've been in the industry for 25 years.
Right. That's tremendous. And I know definitely we'll have to use your services again soon, because we're seeing a lot more investigation now, especially this year regarding white collar crime. We do expect that there will be a spike in indictments this year. Just kind of what we're kind of seeing last year. They were still investigating it, but definitely with a lesser extent in terms of serving search warrants and really wanting to push these cases along. But we're seeing it a little differently. As soon as January kind of rolled around, we've been a lot busier.
Yeah, I don't wish anybody to be my client.
Right, absolutely. But when they have that need, I'll definitely give you a call so we can work on cases together again. But thanks for coming on today. I hope you're coming back again soon.
Oh, sure. Thank you.